let's turn to Loreen Gilbert. She is the CEO of FINRA Financial, and she joins us now over the phone. Loreen, great to have you with us. Let's get started here in the U.S. because we saw another record for the S&P and the NASDAQ. I mean, great news that we continue to see these highs for U.S. equities if you're long in the stock market. But are you worried at all about the breadth of the rally? I mean, we continue to hear that it's the narrowest since we've seen it since the dot-com era. So how concerned are you, and should we be positioning for any correction soon?
Right. Well, I think the pandemic brought us into unprecedented uncertainty, and now we're being able to move into managing the risks. And we knew that a catalyst would be therapies and treatments. And we saw that this weekend with the idea of this plasma therapy. And I think that's the next catalyst up for the market. So we see the markets continuing to respond to the reopening of America, to the potential vaccine, the plasma therapies. These all are the items that will keep us running up in the positive.
Are markets factoring in a potential Democratic win and Joe Biden in the White House, which could also mean bigger taxes?
I don't think that that's been factored in yet. When we look at how that could impact profitability for corporations given the Biden tax plan, I don't think that that has been factored in because it would impact profitability. And therefore, I would say that that is one of the risks that we're looking at as far as corporate profits are concerned, because we know if corporate taxes go up, then corporate profits are going to go down. But I would say that we still have quite a bit of tailwind that's being exhibited into the marketplace. And like you mentioned, it is a very narrow market in that large cap growth, technology, innovative space. So there are certainly other areas that could start to see a run up if we understand that we're truly in a recovery, and I would say we are there. I would say that the numbers are pointing, when we look at whether it's looking at GDP, looking at unemployment numbers, looking at PMI numbers, looking at all those numbers, even though we've had somewhat of a setback a little bit with the unemployment, I think that those trends are heading towards a recovery outlook.
Loreen, I want to throw up this chart taking a look at just how rich valuations are on the S&P 500, right? The forward PE is near the highest that we've seen since the actual tech bubble, since 2000, right? Leaving aside whether we're actually in another tech bubble at the moment. I'm wondering how much of this market is already priced to perfection when it comes to expecting a perfectly effective vaccine. We had that news about a person being reinfected with the virus. It throws up a lot of questions as to how that means, what that means for a vaccine, what that means for herd immunity, and how frequently the virus can come back. Is that a concern?
It is. I think, you bring up a great point, and that is valuations, which, like you said, we're seeing these PE expansions, and they're growing each and every day that we see these tech stocks continuing to go up. And so I think what it means for investors is to think about balancing out a portfolio, really looking at the value area of the market that has not had the same run-up, where we don't see the same valuations. And while there can definitely be a value trap that people have to be wary of, if you look and you do some research on the value side of the equation, I think that's where we could continue to see more of a run-up in those stock prices.
So, and you actually favour muni bonds at the moment as a way to diversify a mid or long-term portfolio?
Got it. So, yes, on the fixed income side, we favor municipal bonds. When we look at the spread relative to treasuries, we see that it's an appealing area for entry. And we do look at, if we're looking at, for instance, as we were talking about, taxes potentially going up, that certainly is an area that could be favorable. And for investors to be looking at that today, before there is a more of the herd mentality over into munis, that would be, think about investing and looking at municipal bonds as a way to diversify your fixed income allocations.
All right, Loreen, always appreciate your time and your views with us. Loreen Gilbert, CEO of FINRA Financial, there joining us.